let's go right ahead and start off with the first segment, and starting with the WNBA playoffs. The WNBA regular season has ended, and what a regular season for the WNBA. This has been the most popular WNBA season in the history of WNBA seasons, all because of two athletes, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Primarily Caitlin Clark, but, aside from that, they have popularized the game. They have spread the awareness about the game, and through the fact that people are tuning into these games because of those rookies. Now all the other WNBA athletes are getting recognized for their talents and for their prowess and for their winning attitude and just for their overall style of play. A'ja Wilson has finally, gained a lot of popularity and gained a lot of recognition for just how good she is at WNBA basketball. So really, I think this is just a great year for the WNBA. This is a W, no pun intended. But now that the playoffs are set, let's actually go ahead and let me pull up the graphic real quick that I have for you. So here is the exact playoff graphic that we have. Now, it's important to note that the WNBA is, if you can't read up there, round 1 is a best of 3, which isn't really heard of. We haven't seen this in the NBA since Michael Jordan was a thing, and even then, the first round was a best of 5. So the fact that this isn't a 7-game series is not really I don't know how to. It's uncharacteristic, I guess you could say, compared to what most of us NBA fans are used to. So they basically have to win 2 games in a row in order to, or at least 2, depending on if you win the first one. You have to win at least 2 games, and then once you win those 2 games, you advance on to the next round. And then the semifinals, all the way up to the championship, are best of 5. So, again, very, very, very short series, very, very little time to actually, get into the series, compared to in the NBA where it's a best of 7. Now, you can make the argument that this makes it a little bit more interesting because each and every single game is more valuable than, game 1 or game 2 of the NBA playoffs, because if you lose game 1 or if you lose game 2, that's fine. Depending on where you stand in the standings, you could either go into the next 2 games with home field advantage or you could steal a game. It's really dependent on a lot of factors. But one problem that I have about the WNBA playoffs, and arguably the biggest problem that I have with the WNBA playoffs, is the timing, when these games actually start. So the first round is scheduled to start on September 22nd, 1 p.m., and that is New York against the Atlanta Dream. Then the next game is going to be at 3 p.m., the Indiana Fever against the Connecticut Sun. Then the next game, 5 p.m., the Phoenix Mercury against the Minnesota Lynx, and 10 p.m., the Seattle Storm at Las Vegas. And if you guys cannot see the problem with what I just said, then let me just reiterate. Sunday, September 22nd. What goes on Sunday? NFL football. That is the biggest problem. That is the biggest problem that I have with this entire playoff bracket, because the number 1 team in the entire WNBA, New York, is going to be playing at the exact same time that the New York Giants are going to be playing. Now, tell me, which one do you think people are going to tune into? I guarantee you there's going to be way more people tuning into NFL football on Sunday at 1 p.m. than there are going to be people that actually even know that the playoffs for the WNBA start at 1 p.m. This is a big problem. The NBA already tried competing with the NFL, and it stood absolutely no chance. What on earth makes the people that decide to organize these games at this time, what makes them think that, okay, why don't we go ahead and play the WNBA playoffs when the NFL games are starting? That makes no sense, at least in my personal opinion. I would have much rather that the playoffs start on Monday, so that way at 1 o'clock, you can actually watch a game. Then you can watch the next one at 3, and then you can watch the next one at 5. And you should save the other game for a different time, or at least maybe start the game a little bit earlier, because at around 10 p.m., that's going to be when people are going to tune in to Monday Night Football. So if Monday's really that big of a deal, then it's no problem. I really would have much rather 3 teams play on Monday, and then you have one team play on Tuesday, and then you have every team play on Wednesday again, and then you have 3 teams play on Thursday, and then you continue going on from there on Friday, just trying to avoid times and areas where football is being played. Because people are going to tune in way more to college football and NFL football than they're going to tune into these WNBA playoffs. This is the biggest problem that I have, because they're already on a great track of bringing popularity to the game. And now in the most important and crucial part of the season, which is the postseason, is going to get the least amount of viewership because of NFL football and college football taking it by storm. Now, maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe people are actually going to legitimately tune in to watch Caitlin Clark, but that's probably going to be the one game that people are going to want to tune into. And even then, Caitlin Clark plays at 3 o'clock. So no idea whether or not the games are going to be continuing, but chances are that they're going to continue to watch these NFL games. I'm really completely against the timing of when these games start. It should start at a completely different time. I'm sorry to say this, but this isn't really going to help the WNBA in the slightest. So that's my only problem with the WNBA playoffs. Aside from that, the matchups are already set. Liberty, they're going to play the Atlanta Dream. The Fever, they're going to end up matching up against the Connecticut Sun. The Mercury are going to match up against the Lynx. And then the Storm are going to match up against the Las Vegas Aces. And one matchup that I feel like everybody should be excited for is if the Fever advance onto the second round and they beat the Connecticut Sun, no idea if they will, but there is a chance, then there's also a good chance that she plays the Phoenix Mercury in the second round. And that is when she's going to go up against Diana Taurasi and all of her teammates. Now, if you guys remember anything about the WNBA in their offseason, then you would know that Diana just is not a fan of Caitlin. And from the jump, she was expecting Caitlin to struggle. She was saying it's a completely different league in the WNBA when she talked about Caitlin. Just immediately, just jealousy taking over her. And she was eventually proven wrong. And it would be so ironic if Caitlin Clark would be the one to eliminate her in the postseason. It would be so ironic. It would, honestly, that would be cinema right there. That is peak cinema, and I really hope that happens. But aside from that, that is all that we have for the first segment. So now we're going to go ahead and go into the second segment, where I talk about the biggest Woj bombs for the Western Conference. I already did the Eastern Conference, so if you guys are interested in that, then go ahead and tune into the previous podcast or click on the last episode, depending on if you guys are on the video section. We're going to go ahead and go into the second segment right after this short break, so be sure to stay tuned.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh, I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind.